Well, it seems that Jon Stewart had some sort of a mental breakdown, basically, crisis of faith. He basically just kind of dipped out of his show, dipped out of his duties, and he did this June 6th on air. And at the end of the show, it wasn't like abrupt or anything; it was planned. And now they've got the British guy in there, just kind of on a whim. And if anything, it indicates how, John likes what he does, and that he was able to dip out because what he's now doing is he is attempting to sort of reconnect or feel good or justify everything that he has done. I think one of the last things he did was he went to Egypt to visit the Egyptian version of himself, which is basically there's a guy in Egypt which looks, acts, and has the same show as him, and John says he's like this hero of his, but really it's just narcissistic because it's you, John. And then he says he's taken off so he can make a film about how the Daily Show basically helped some journalist reveal, this is also like pro-Iran war, some sort of unjust imprisonment of her or something like that. Like, then they came for me or something like that. And it's just showing that John couldn't handle, because guess what happened the day after he left? The NSA scandal broke. Where literally everyone's phone lines are being, just much worse than that. Everybody's being monitored to hell under the Obama administration, which, basically suggests that Jon Stewart's crusade against the evil Bush, in order to feel like he had some role in putting Obama in place, which he did. He played a major role in doing that. Can't be blamed. Everyone liked it. It was good and noble. And I personally was fooled. But he couldn't handle that he played such a major role in that. He couldn't handle that he's been so wrong. And the biggest one is they were able to just let him do that. Okay? Like, I don't think these other people who are performing some sort of a role in the mass indoctrination of our people would be able to do that. Like when it comes to O'Reilly, Alex Jones even, Chris Cuomo, there are numerous other people, basically, that I think that if they ever bailed like that, the power structure would be like, keep a very close eye on that person, possibly even just go ahead and kill that person. I don't trust that person. But John, they trust you, man. That's sickening. That's sickening. And you couldn't handle, like, for instance, you've done this to us, okay? Like, it looked like you were being pro-Ron Paul at first, when Ron Paul was coming up on a rise, and then you just stopped. Did they hand you some sort of an edict, some sort of an order to stop? I don't think so. I think that the scandal about whether Ron Paul was anti-Israel or not kind of got to you. I mean, you had Brad Pitt kind of come on your show, and then Brad Pitt didn't even kind of endorse Ron Paul, was probably told not to, but he mentioned how he was going to be with Ron Paul in some sort of a way, and you paused, and then you rubbed your nose, and Brad Pitt nodded like, yeah, we'll change the subject. Okay? Like, it's like you're freaking out. Like, oh no, don't tell anybody about Zionist conspiracy theory. Don't tell anybody how I, am basically following a template. How people have been warned for almost 100 years now that this exact process would occur. Okay? And you've got this, like, massively, massively obvious scheme going on where There's you and there's Colbert. And basically, if anyone's played that recent Bioshock Infinite game, you have this Duke and Dimwit. And Duke, because it's supposed to be displaying like racism, Duke is this upstanding, white kid. And Dimwit is this, it looks like a Jewish kid who can't get anything right. And then you look, and it's so exactly the opposite here in the United States. That you put in Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert, and what do you have? You have the so sympathetic, always funny and right Jewish guy, and then you have the guy that you're supposed to laugh at, the guy that you're supposed to ridicule and, kind of think he's dumb. Stephen Colbert, the white American guy, the conservative. How was it not obvious to you? How was it not obvious to you that really your whole life was just based on a bunch of hate? That really all of this brainwashing that you were doing, causing people to laugh at themselves, was pushing down and just taking your foot and pushing it down on some of us, okay? While you're sitting there with all your, And there's no need to now justify everything you were doing. Okay, maybe what you should do is realize and then grow your brain a little bit that your little mental meltdown is in fact you trying to wake up to something. That if something was going on under Bush, Obama comes in pretending to not be Bush and yet expands and doubles it. This is what everyone should be doing, but people are literally just not politically involved. That there's something going on behind them. That maybe Osama bin Laden's interview, the Umat interview, where he said this is a shadow government with Zionist interests that did 9/11, like 2 or 3 days right after 9/11. Maybe that was right. Okay? So maybe there's a shadow government that's bad for us. Okay? Not Iran. Not, and then you're like, oh, but I've seen what I've been able to do. I've seen what I've been able to progress the world. No, they've been destroying the world and then picking who they want to look like saviors in order to get us moving in a certain direction. You're like going to Egypt to think that you're liberating Egypt, but when in reality they've been there for centuries, psychologically operating and destroying people's lives over there.